Hi, good evening, and welcome to the September 2020 I-10 Connect community meeting. I'm Jennifer Wright with the Texas Department of Transportation. I am joined tonight by the incomparable Martin Bartlett, who will be your other host, your Sue host for this meeting. And he will be providing us an overview of the project. He will talk to us about current and upcoming closures. He will also give us a little preview of what the "Don't Block the Box" signs mean, as well as giving us a little bit of a insight to an upcoming kind of a new item we have on the work site, which is called Smart Work Zone. And it will really help you navigate through this and understand what the wait times are like ahead. Then we'll take questions and have reports from our project engineer from TxDOT, Jorge Orejel, and our project manager from SUNT, Rudy Elias. So thank you for joining us tonight. We also would ask that if you have a question, you can email it to info@i10connectelpaso.com. That's info@i10connectelpaso.com anytime during this presentation, and we'll do our best to answer those questions. Martin, take it away.
So that was a technical difficulty. That was on my end. I apologize. So again, just reminding everyone that the best way to get a question answered immediately during the course of this meeting is to send an email to info@i10connectelpaso.com. We have that email inbox open throughout the course of the meeting, and so if anything comes in, we'll be sure to answer those emails during the course of the meeting. So we want to begin, as we always do, by just talking a little bit about kind of some of the higher level points about the project. This is a project that began back in February of 2019, a 3-year project that really requires a team to bring a project of this nature, of this complexity, to fruition. Of course, ultimately, this is a project of the Texas Department of Transportation. SUNT is the general contractor. Consor is providing construction management and inspection services on the project. KCI, Kennedy Consulting, were the ones that actually designed the hundreds of pages of plans being used to build this project. And Barracuda Public Relations, the company for which I work here in El Paso, is assisting TxDOT with public involvement during the construction phase of this project. Again, as we mentioned, this is a 3-year project that began in February of 2019, $96 million, all being invested really in a very kind of tight space to create increased connectivity between I-10 and Loop 375 at Center City. We're going to take a look at a rendering, really kind of flying high over the spaghetti bowl. Everything you see in blue is a new ramp, either one that is an existing ramp that's being replaced or a new ramp altogether. And I'm going to call your attention right now to the very top center of this rendering. You see proposed Loop 375 eastbound to I-10 eastbound direct connector. Flag that in your mind. We're going to be talking about that a little bit later on in the project. So that's one that would be coming from downtown, say heading out to the east side. Again, everything else you see kind of concentrated there on creating connectivity for traffic going from I-10 to Loop 375 and traffic going from I-10 directly to the Bridge of the Americas and heading south into Ciudad Juarez. All right, we're going to kind of flip the view a little bit, move further south, and show you a view kind of flying high above the Chamizal National Memorial. There you see Paisano Drive going east and west across the screen. The Bridge of the Americas port of entry is at the very bottom of the screen, just slightly off, or rather out of this illustration. Really, the important thing to recognize here is that we all know, and it is certainly happening right now, traffic trying to get from Paisano to the Bridge of the Americas tends to back up onto Paisano, either towards the Chamizal, previously towards the zoo. But at the end of the day, when this project is complete, there will be no connectivity from Paisano to the Bridge of the Americas. No connectivity means no vehicles queuing trying to get in the line to head down to the bridge. All right, now we're going to take a quick look at kind of a fly-through animation and some driver's eye views to show you what this project will look like when it's completed. And some of the things that we are showing in this video have, for months now, we've been talking about them and only seeing them in this rendering, but it may start to look a little bit more familiar as progress continues to be made on the I-10 Connect project. This is going to look very similar to that first rendering we showed you. Again, all the ramps you see highlighted in blue are new construction or replacement of existing ramps. The big difference when this project is complete is all traffic getting to the Bridge of the Americas will have to go on I-10 or US 54 through the Spaghetti Bowl, make the decision at the Spaghetti Bowl, am I gonna go to Ciudad Juarez via the Bridge of the Americas, or am I gonna stay on US 54 to get down to Loop 375? That's the big difference. That's the connect in I-10 Connect, is making it easier, more seamless to get from I-10 to Loop 375 right there at the Spaghetti Bowl interchange. Now we're kind of heading to the south. Right now you see the El Paso Zoo at the very top of the screen. The camera angle is rotating, so when we kind of settle down over the Chamizal National Memorial, we'll be looking off to the north and kind of get a closer view of some of those changes coming right there on Paisano. Again, removing access from Paisano to the Bridge of the Americas right there north of the Chamizal. So what we're going to do next is kind of show you some driver's eye views, as if you were in the driver's seat. So we're going to go now from downtown El Paso heading to the lower valley. So this is pretty much what you've been used to seeing for years and years and years. Of course, if you head off to the right, take the Juarez exit, you can kind of wind your way through, historically, wind your way through some areas to get to Loop 375. But when this project is complete, what you'll be able to do is right now, at this point, make that decision, go to the right to go to the bridge, go to Juarez, go to the left, as we're doing in this driver's eye view, to get to Loop 375 via US 54. What I'll draw your attention to here is we're coming up on the Paisano exit off of US 54. That will reopen once this project is complete. However, again, no access from Paisano to the Bridge of the Americas. So whatever kind of vehicle you're driving, you've had to have made that decision about, am I traveling to Juarez or am I staying in El Paso? Have to make that decision there at the Spaghetti Bowl. All right, here's kind of another view from a different angle, coming from the east side, going from the airport to Ciudad Juarez. This is a view we've seen a million times. You know, right now, this ramp that red SUV is driving on is closed, but it's one we've probably all crossed many, many times, cresting over the Spaghetti Bowl. This is pretty much what you've seen historically, but once we get to that green sign you see coming up, that's where things start to change. So again, if I am heading to Loop 375 via US 54, go off to the left. If I'm going to do what this silver SUV is going to do, we're going to go off to the right, continue directly on to the Bridge of the Americas. Now, what you'll notice here, and what's really important to recognize, is the primary function of this project has been creating connectivity between I-10 and Loop 375. There is some additional storage that will be built as part of this project for vehicles that are waiting to get across the Bridge of the Americas. So the real goal with that additional storage capacity is to make sure that vehicles don't back up onto I-10. Also, the removal of those ramps from Paisano, about making sure traffic doesn't back up onto Paisano Drive. Now, one of the things that is really important about the I-10 Connect project that differs from many projects we've seen over the past several years and months is this is a lot of bridge work all in one place. So bridge girders have been, these are not small things. These are big multi-ton pieces of concrete and steel that have to be placed. So a lot of the closures we're going to see over the next 2 weeks are related to staging or placing those concrete bridge girders. So right now, the big thing to circle on your calendar coming up next week on September 9th, September 10th, and the 14th through the 17th. So that's next week and the week after, 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. You should expect to see closures on US 54 between I-10 and Loop 375. Also, a continuous 2-week closure of ramp E, which is that ramp that connects southbound US 54 rather Gateway South to southbound US 54 near Yandell, closed continuously for 2 weeks. So again, circle those on your calendar. Of course, we encourage you to go to the I-10 Connect website, sign up for text message alerts, so you're never caught off guard by any of the closures we have coming up. All right, moving on to the next slide. We have a video presentation to show you another major closure that's begun along Gateway East. Gateway East, right next to Lincoln Park, is a roadway that you will use if you're say trying to get from Copia over to Reynolds. But right now, that stretch of the Gateway is closed for several months. It reopened for one lane for a few hours over the weekend, and this video will explain why the closures are necessary and why that brief reopening was necessary too.
Progress overhead means changes on the ground. As part of the I-10 Connect project, Gateway East is now closed to all traffic adjacent to Lincoln Park between Copia Street and Reynolds in central El Paso. Crews are tying newly constructed ramps into existing ones. Parts of this old ramp will have to be demolished and reconfigured. As you can see, that work will take place directly over the gateway. Let's go overhead to see exactly what this work will accomplish. When the I-10 Connect project is complete, much of this existing ramp from westbound I-10 to Juarez will remain, but shortly after crossing Interstate 10, it will split. Drivers will go to the left on a new ramp to get to Loop 375 via US 54, or they'll go right on another new ramp to get to Juarez via the Bridge of the Americas. As work continues, traffic traveling on Gateway East will have to re-enter I-10 near Copia Street. You can get off again at Reynolds. This will remain for at least 6 months. Occasionally, complete closures on eastbound I-10 will be required. When that happens, work will stop overhead. Gateway East will be temporarily reopened. Traffic will detour onto the gateway at Copia and continue past Reynolds. When the short-term work is complete, the gateway will close again. Make sure you're aware of these changes by signing up for text message alerts and our weekly newsletter at i10connectelpaso.com.
So again, there you see kind of two things that were out there that we saw in that rendering video. You saw those ramps, say, coming from the east side to Juarez or US 54, really kind of starting to come to life out there in the real world. No longer is it just a rendering. Also, this weekend was one of those cases where, again, Gateway East reopened for a very short period right there under the Spaghetti Bowl to allow for some maintenance work on I-10, but again, it is now closed. So that's a lot of what's going on in terms of the actual concrete and steel. One of the really exciting things about construction on this project is some innovative tools we will have to communicate with you about the changes that are coming up. If you've been driving along US 54 lately near the Spaghetti Bowl up to about Pershing, you may have noticed several new of these portable message boards which have gone up. These are part of what's called a smart work zone technology. These have been placed along that detour route which goes up to Pershing Drive, comes back southbound on US 54. This is a very important detour that's been used many times. It will be used many more times during the course of this project. And we have said many times it seems so far out of the way to go all the way up to Pershing just to detour for traffic on I-10 or to get to Juarez. But we will now be able to put our money where our mouth is, and in the coming weeks and months show you the exact amount of time it takes to complete those detours. So what you see there is one of those I-10 Connect Smart Work Zone message boards, which will be able to show live travel time information that it gathers from sensors and cameras to track those conditions in real time. You'll start to see some messages coming out on those boards in the coming weeks. First steps will kind of be calibrating and making sure everything is working as it should. But just if you start to see some new messages, unlike those you've seen on those boards, know that this is about creating some technology or integrating some technology which will help you as a driver make a decision that means you should be able to avoid some of those work zone related congestion. So a really exciting prospect. And also this is the first time this technology has been used in the El Paso area by TxDOT. So really exciting to see these kind of come alive over the coming weeks and months. So that's the smart work zone technology. Another less high-tech, but nevertheless very innovative tool is, frankly, some paint and some signs that went down on Paisano at San Marcial a couple of weeks ago. Where we've seen this used in many other cities across the country. And frankly, the mantra is don't block the box, where you see that big white X on the street bounded by those big white lines. Blocking of that intersection is prohibited. That's on US 62 Paisano Drive at San Marcial. Really, really important to make sure that traffic which is attempting to get onto the Bridge of the Americas from Paisano Drive doesn't block that Paisano intersection. So it's certainly, TxDOT talks a lot about driving friendly. It's certainly not driving friendly to block the intersection, but now there's really no excuse for not knowing that intersection can't be blocked. So that's just kind of a brief look at some of the changes which are coming around the project site. And with that, we're happy to answer any questions we got or other information we might have for folks to kind of help them navigate what's coming up in the coming weeks and months on this project. Jennifer?
Thank you, Martin. That was really informative. I have to say that I'm looking forward to that smart work zone signage that will tell you the time, because I've always maintained that detour is not very long. But it's always disconcerting if a detour is going to take you in the opposite direction that you were intending to go. And people's innate reaction is to immediately look for a different way to go, but that is going to clear that up. This project is going to make a big difference in mobility in our city, and a big part of that is actually shutting down the interchange or the access to the bridge at Paisano. And that came about as public comment from the Chamizal neighborhood, who complained about their quality of life, their quality of air, and their ability to get around their neighborhood with all of those semis stacked up on Paisano. So again, everybody gets in line at the same place, either via I-10 or US 54 if you're headed south into Juarez. And then those new ramping decision points are going to also do a lot to stop that backup. If you're trying to get to Paisano, if you're trying to get to Loop 375, now you'll be able to get to Loop 375 without going through any interchanges. And you'll be able to get to Paisano without having to get tangled up in that traffic that is headed southbound into Juarez. So it's going to be a real boon, not to mention so much easier to use as a detour when there's an incident or work being done on I-10. So we're about halfway through this project, maybe a little bit more. And I know that our project engineer from TxDOT, Jorge Orejel, has some important updates for you. And he'll also be joined by Rudy Elias, who also has some information to impart. Jorge?
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me, Jennifer?
Yes, sir.
All right. Yes, I do have 2 items here. Yeah, I'm excited to share with the public. So it's always been a complaint in the area that we have some dark areas, okay, that have been waiting for a project to fix this issue. So TxDOT is studying the need of 2 additional high masts. So those stadium lights we are looking into, which will not delay the project. So when you install those 2 high masts that we think we need, it's not going to delay the project, but will it will greatly improve the dark areas at the project limits. And the other exciting news I want to share with you is that Bridge 8 might be open by the end of September or early October. That's the bridge that's going to help the public connect from eastbound Loop 275 to I-10 eastbound. And this will be the first bridge connecting both highways, okay, out of the I-10 Connect project. So that's a very exciting news. So we'll keep you posted. So please don't forget to log in our next monthly meeting. Hopefully I'll give you the good news that the bridge number 8 has been open to traffic. Thank you, Jennifer.
That's incredible news. I will use that ramp because right now, if I'm headed from the west side and headed east in town, if I want to stop anywhere besides the far distant I-10 connection at Loop 375, that's out past Zaragoza, out in far east El Paso, I kind of get a little bit lost. So a direct connector in the middle is exactly what this project is designed for. Now I'm going to ask Rudy if he has some information for us. Rudy? Can you hear us? Okay, well, maybe there's, again, nothing like live Facebook Live and live TV. This is one of those moments. Martin, do we have any questions?
Question that came in via the info@i10connectelpaso.com email address, just kind of asking about bike facilities and pedestrian connectivity as it relates to the project. So the question really kind of goes to, let me get it open in front of me, really goes to, will there be any new bike facilities added as part of this project? And I know one of the things we've been discussing is there were no existing bike facilities there certainly not along I-110 or US 54.
Well, that's right, Martin. TxDOT is now incorporating bicycle and multimodal in every opportunity that we have. This project, though, because it's mostly overhead structures and it's not really impacting any surface roadways, but for Paisano, there's really not an opportunity to add bike lanes, as you wouldn't want bike lanes on a high-speed ramp. Not a safe mix there. There's Future projects along I-10, for example, will add very robust hike and bike. Montana Avenue widening has a lovely hike and bike trail going in out there. So we coordinate with the city of El Paso and implement their bike plan. And this is just not one of those cases where it's coming into play.
And I gotta say,
go ahead.
Nothing else has come in via the email address. One thing that I will say is, if ever you're driving out and you see that some of those existing hike and bike trails, people are using them. So it's always exciting to see folks, taking advantage of the facilities that are
right
out there.
That's right. So I just want to take one last chance to check in with Rudy to see if he's got audio with us now and can hear us. Maybe he'll notice himself on this. No. Okay. All right.
And Jennifer, let me actually add, we did get a question via Facebook from the Lincoln Park Committee. Questions about, I guess, some of the temporary lighting in the park area. They have a couple of concerns. What we'll do for folks watching, Hector and friends watching from the Lincoln Park group, we'll go ahead and make sure that we send that information directly onto the project manager to make sure that we get that squared away.
Okay, I see a smile on Rudy's face. I'm texting him right now, telling him I keep pitching to him. Can he hear me now? Apparently not. Okay, well, at least we got to see his pretty face for a little while. And if there's no other questions, I certainly want to thank everyone for joining us tonight and being a part of this I-10 Connect September community meeting. It will live on Facebook. And if you have any further questions, there's a hotline number there you can call. You can always email us at info@i10connectelpaso.com. And you have any questions, English or Spanish, call that hotline, 855, I have that right here. 855-463-1010, 855-463-1010. On behalf of the I-10 Connect team, the Texas Department of Transportation, I'm Jennifer Wright, wishing you a safe September.